Recording in progress. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Planning Commission to order. The first order of business is the roll call.
Chair Harrison,
Present.
Vice Chair Brubaker,
Here.
Commissioner Golovitz,
Here.
Commissioner Shahid,
Here.
Commissioner Benitez,
Here.
and for the record, Commissioner Timmons is absent.
Next item we had is introductions. I guess we can just, people know who we are now, we'll say our names anyway with our pictures in front of them. So, and then if we could have the staff introduce themselves as well. So I'm John Harrison. I'm the chair of the Planning Commission at the moment.
Introducing ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm Bruce Brubaker, Vice Chair.
I'm Shahzeb Shahid, Commissioner.
Diana Benitez, Commissioner.
Alexander Golovets, Commissioner.
Okay. Approval of minutes. We have no minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I'm in too much of a hurry.
And I'm Lena Velasco, Director of Community Development. I'm here covering for Avery Stark, our Planning Manager.
And I'm Pete Severum, Assistant Planner.
James Atencio, Senior Assistant City Attorney.
Thank you. All right, now I could go to minute. We have no minutes to approve, so we'll go to item D, approval of the agenda. Does anybody wish to make any changes to the agenda sequence of events?
No.
Okay, seeing none, then consent calendar. We have no consent calendar items tonight. And I think F and G are one and the same. So this is the Brown Act Public Forum. Anyone who wishes to address the Planning Commission on an item that is not on the agenda is welcome to do so at this time. We can't take any action on it, but we can certainly hear your comments. So it looks like we have a speaker.
Cordell Hindler.
That's me. So good evening, Chair Harrison, Commissioners. For the record, I am Cordell Handler and I'm a Richmond resident. So if you recall a couple of weeks ago, I had raised concerns regarding the Chevron item regarding alcohol. I had a conversation with the Hilltop District Council and we were concerned because we was like, wait a minute, they approved to sell alcohol, and that's a concern to me because I shop at stores occasionally, and one of the issues that I had raised at that meeting is their staff for the business to train their staff on watching people go inside the store with their backpacks. I don't feel comfortable about that because I've seen a number of people gotten their stuff stolen. Whose pocket is it going to come out of? Is it coming out of my pocket or Chevron's pocket? So let's think about that. The second issue that I had raised is like, what about the schools? They were like in close proximity of the site. How come they were not aware of this? Because this affects them too, because on any given day, I've seen it happen just that quick. At 3 o'clock, the kids get out of school and the traffic is horrendous. So that should have been taken into consideration, a traffic analysis, because between 1 and 3 o'clock, traffic is horrible, especially like in the Hilltop area. That's two. And then the third thing is, I don't know if you saw, there was a letter that was submitted from April Roy with the Hilltop Village HOA. That was her main concern is like, is the traffic, because her issue was like, that there's a close proximity of schools, and especially in a residential area. I'm thinking to myself, maybe Chevron should consider that. I'm just concerned. So I just hopefully that this commission, think about how the community felt about that. We were hurt. So with that, I'll save my comments when we get to item number 2.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else wishing to address the commission on an item not on the agenda? Is there anyone online wishing to address this?
If there's any speakers online who would like to address the Planning Commission under the Brown Act, if you could raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands
Okay,
raised.
then we'll move on to the public hearings. The first one, item H1, is going to be continued until May 7th. That's Cascade Townhomes. So we'll move on to item 2, which is PLN 26-073, the USSF Outpatient Center. So if we can have I guess I'll open the public hearing and ask for the staff presentation.
Right. Good evening, commissioners. This is agenda item number 2 for the UCSF Outpatient Clinic. A background of this site, this is a 2.5-acre site developed with a 20,000 square foot building. It's a 2-story, 30-foot building with 3 existing commercial units. On the first floor is the APEN, the Asian Pacific Environmental Network office, and which is about 5,000 square feet. Next to it is a vacant tenant space. It's about the same, about 5,000 square feet as well. On the second floor is the SGI USA, which is a Buddhist community assembly, as well as their office. Adjacent to the sites are the Enterprise Rent-A-Car, 2 schools, as well as Hilltop Mall to the north. The zoning for the site is a CM5, which is a commercial mixed use, as is the surrounding Hilltop Mall area. The intent of this district is for office, retail, entertainment, and residential uses in mid and high-rise developments. It's informed by the general plan, which intends for this area to be a high-intensity mixed-use zone. It's designated as a change area, which is defined in the general plan as areas that require additional guidance from staff and planning commissioners to move towards the desired form. The general plan wants to see this area transform into a higher intensity urban area with more active street life, with more active uses, and as well as a mix of uses. The applicant here is proposing a clinic, and in the CM5 zoning district, any clinic that are over 3,000 square feet requires a conditional use permit. The proposed clinic is approximately 5,000 square feet. The services that they are proposing is an outpatient medical care, which would be operated by the University of California, San Francisco, UCSF. And they would provide services from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday with no overnight services. There will be a total of 15 employees at the site, and with the square footage of the clinic and the number of employees, the required vehicle parking would be 10 spaces, as well as 5 short-term and 5 long-term spaces. As for how this clinic meets the zoning compliance, first, we review the definition for clinics. Clinics are differentiated from hospital by their services. They provide services to patients without lodging them overnight, as opposed to hospitals. And these services at clinics are also offered exclusively on an outpatient, so patients would visit for the day. This clearly fits the definition of clinics as proposed by the applicants, as no overnight services are proposed, and services would be on an outpatient basis. The code requires that the clinic be located on the ground floor in mixed-use buildings. This tenant space is on the ground floor, which meets the requirement, and the building has a street frontage of 130 feet, which meets the minimum requirement of 50 feet. As for parking, there's a total of 87 existing parking spaces on site. Based on my calculation below, we take the square footage of the clinic to calculate the estimated parking demand. We reduce it by 2,000 to account for mixed-use buildings, and we use that to calculate the minimum parking requirements. The calculation comes out to 10 spaces. Adding up all 3 tenants at the existing sites would require 68 total 68 total spaces, which meets the requirements. On the site, there would be 5 short-term bicycle parking spaces required based on the square footage of the clinic. 5 would be proposed. By definition, short-term spaces must be publicly accessible, and they're meant for visitor, guests, and patients for the clinic. The short-term bicycle parking would be located in front of the building, which is accessible and meets the requirements. And just a correction, this should say long-term parking on the right. Based on the square footage as well, 5 would be required. And by definition, it must be secured, weather protected, and it's meant for long-term overnight or workday storage. Thus, the applicant is proposing 5 spaces, which would be located in a staff-restricted area. Seeing that the clinic wouldn't provide any overnight services, all of the parking would be for the employees. Though the project meets all other zoning regulation, one that needs a bit more guidance is the landscaping. Based on a site visit, on my personal observations, the landscaping code has not been met. In the code, it requires that landscaping must be maintained free of injury. Based on the site conditions shown in the photo here, it is out of compliance. Staff is recommending in condition number 8 is that the applicant would submit a new landscaping plan to bring all of these parking strips back into compliance with the current water efficient landscaping code. This must be completed before the building division can give out the certificate of occupancy, which is given after a building permit is done and the building can start operation. As for public comments, we have not received any public comments, and no written comments have been received from the Hilltop District Neighborhood Council. For its required findings, as for all conditional use permits, this project meets land use policy for revitalization and job creation. It would also meet health and wellness policy to provide a local employment base at the site and improve health outcomes by providing additional medical services to the area. There have been standards condition of approval that have been added to ensure that the project would not create any nuisances in the area. The project meets all criteria requirements for approval in the zoning ordinance, and by meeting the parking requirements, it would not cause an adverse impact on traffic in the area. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve this project and adopt the attached resolution. That concludes the presentation, and I am available for any questions.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions of staff at this time?
I have a question. I didn't see, is there transit access on Hilltop Mall Road?
Yes, there are 2 AC transit lines that are accessible. There's one bus stop directly in front of this lot, and there are several at the Hilltop Mall.
Okay, and is there an accessible entry to the building from the sidewalk? Do you know?
So I went to visit the building myself. It is accessible. It's basically on the ground floor. Uh, I can imagine a wheelchair user is able to access the building and enter the building directly into the clinic.
Okay, thank you.
And Vice Chair Brubaker, too, I'll just mention that if the project's approved during plan review for building permits, if a new accessible path of travel to meet current code requirements is triggered, then that will be enforced.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of staff at this time? Okay, then why don't we, I guess we would have a presentation by the applicant if they wish to make one. You don't have to, but you're welcome to do so. I don't think we have anything to add. Okay, great. Great, thank you. And we have to give an opportunity for anyone to speak in opposition to this.
We do have one speaker whose position was not noted, Cordell Hindler.
Okay. So, good evening, Chair Harrison, Commissioners. For the record, I am Cordell Hendler. I'm a Richmond resident. So, thank you, Pete, for that presentation. So, one of the things I was looking at the presentation, one of the things that I don't think it was mentioned about security on site. So, I'm thinking to myself, I mean, I do support the idea of a clinic, but the only thing that I would like to add to that is like, is having security on site, because I visited other clinics around West County and they do have security on the premises. And so that should be hopefully you're taking a note, like, adding security, because there has been concerns, like regarding the not enough, security on site. So if that should be an added bonus, having security on site. Number two is like, is the parking. It's like I have visited the site adjacent to it, and I'm thinking like, okay, this sounds reasonable. I do support the clinic, but I would also, I'm just only one vote, but I'm thinking that the Hilltop District Neighborhood Council should also weigh in on this too, because that should be another added addition, like having the Hilltop District community, weigh in on this. So I do support the project, but we have to hear from the neighborhood councils to get their input. So that's it.
Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak either for or against this item? Is there anyone online?
I see we do have one participant on Zoom, so if anybody joining us online would like to speak on this item, if you could please raise your hand. Okay, no, hands
Okay,
raised.
then I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. And what further questions or actions would you like to take? I guess I'll ask real quickly, was the neighborhood council provided the opportunity to review this? I assume it's your procedure to apprise them that something's upcoming up in their area.
Yes, so I can speak on that. I've advised the applicant to reach out to the neighborhood council. The neighborhood council was also notified of the project as is procedurally done for all projects brought to public hearing. And I have not received any comment from them.
So no, they chose not to provide any comments. Is that correct? They chose not, they had no comments to provide.
Right,
Okay.
No comments provided.
And I'll follow up on Cordell's other concern, that of security. Does this, I mean, this building is multiple tenants. Does the building owner or another tenant have a security service? Or has the applicant been asked about that concern?
Not that I'm aware of. I can also look into this potential issue as well. I can also invite the applicant to speak if they
Could you be a
have
little
any more
closer to the mic?
information.
I'm afraid I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. For this, I can investigate further. I would like to invite the applicant to come up to speak as well, if they can provide any more information.
You need to come up to the mic or something.
Yeah, if you can please.
Please come up to the podium.
You drew the short straw, I take it.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthias. For the record, I'm the property manager for the building. We do have on-site security in the form of tenant accessible cameras. That's what we currently have in place, but if there are any additional security features that would need to be added to the building to make sure that, we comply with whatever may be required, that's something we'd be open to discuss with the ownership and get done if needed.
I take it the clinic would not have any materials on site that would be something that someone might want to break in or rob, some, opioids or something like that. Is that kind of stuff secure inside of a building so that it's not a risk of someone coming along and trying to break in? That may be part of Cardill's concern. I don't know how that works, so I'm just curious.
Hi, my name is John Walter. I'm the architect for the project. Is that good there? Yeah. So the building will have small amounts of, like medical waste. I can't speak specifically to what it is, but we can find out from UCSF what they would have on site. But it would follow all the typical, medical discharge procedures, and it is locked within the facility in their lab space.
Yeah, I would assume there's some pretty high standards that everybody has to follow for things like that. So.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have questions?
Well, can I just add to that, and maybe there's a question for Pete or for Lena? When this gets reviewed by all the city departments, the police are also part of that review process? It's a question.
It's not typical for every project. I think right now, standard would be, building, engineering, wastewater, as well as the fire department. However, for some uses such as, cannabis, other kind of large users that may have a criminal attraction or something, that we could advise and bring them in. So particularly medical clinics that are storing medications, we could work with the police department.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions of staff or the applicant? Okay, then what is the wish of the council or commission in terms of action on this item? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve conditionally,
So
follow staff's recommendation.
you're recommending the adoption of the resolution?
Let's see. So the recommendation was to conditionally approve.
First page, bottom 3 lines.
Yes, Casey or Chief, if you could please pull up the presentation. The recommended action is on the last page of presentation.
I can't understand what he says.
So the recommended action is the first line on this slide.
Reading this or reading what's on the slide.
Okay. Yeah, I move to adopt resolution 26-08 approving PLN 26-0073.
Is there a second?
Second?
All right. Do we need a roll call or just voice vote?
I could do a roll call.
If you want, doesn't matter to me. I really don't think we need one, but
Okay, then just
Okay.
do a voice call.
all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck. Next is, our next item is item 3, which is the Ohio Avenue Live Work Project, PLN 25-0168. So I will open the public hearing for this item and ask for the staff presentation.
Thank you. Just checking if you can hear me okay. Right. So a background on this site, this is a 5,000 square foot lot. It is currently vacant, and our records indicate that it's been vacant since at least the 1960s. Adjacent to the site along Ohio Avenue are mainly warehousing and light industrial uses, as well as single-family homes sprinkled throughout the corridor. Directly south of the lot, you can see from this images behind the lot, is a single-family neighborhood, which is comprised of mainly single-family homes. The zoning for this site is a IL for light industrial. It's mainly intended for light industrial uses such as warehouses, light manufacturing without heavy machinery. It also permits some small-scale retail and office uses. The only type of residential uses that are permitted in this zone are lift work, which is proposed by the applicant. As for the general plan, the designation is business and light industrial, which informs the zoning district. It's also located in a key corridor, also a change area within Richmond. It's called the Ohio Avenue Corridor. The intent of this corridor is to further the development of legacy industrial uses. This was done because the Ohio Avenue corridor is directly south of the Richmond Greenway, and in the past it was a railroad right-of-way. Now has been turned to a park. However, the light industrial and warehouses were placed there because of this history. So the intent of this general plan's designation is for a reconciliation of the industrial uses that's compatible with surrounding residential. It also encouraged mixed-use residential development that can coexist with the nearby warehouses and light industrial use. This project is a live-work building, which is, again, is the only type of residential use permitted in the IL zone. It's a 3-story structure with a total of 11,000 square feet. It has a live-to-work ratio of 2/3 living space to 1/3 working space as required by state law. The height of the building in total is 35 feet with a total of 7 units, one of which would be a manager's unit. On the site, there's approximately 1,100 square feet of landscaping. It's mainly located south of the site, abutting the RL2 single-family zoning. It comprises of native plant landscaping, permeable pavers, as well as bicycle parking for 2 bicycles. Just a summary of the unit types. There are 3 unit types, ABC. They all contain 2 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, 1 workspace, and 1 garage, with the exception of the manager's unit, which has an uncovered parking space instead of a garage. These range from 1,200 square feet to approximately 1,500 square feet. The layout are pretty similar between all units. On the ground floor are the garages and the workspace. On the second and third floor would be the living spaces. These are the elevations of the building. As you can see, these are the designs. If you look behind you, there is a material and color board. If you would like to see the color, I know it looks a bit different than what's being shown on screen. If you would like to take a look at the provided color material board, that is the design that was approved by the design review board. As far as zoning compliance, this project meets all of the criterias under the zoning code. it meets all the design standards for the IL, Light Industrial District. It meets all the setback requirements. It provides for 7 spaces, which meets the minimum of 5 spaces. The landscaping meets the minimum buffer requirements and the buffer tree required to buffer the light industrial use from the single-family residential zoning. The only thing that requires planning commission approval is an increase in floor area ratio. This floor area ratio of 2.2 is required for them to meet the 2 to 3 live to work ratio as required by state law. And in the code, the planning commission can approve an FAR, a floor area ratio of up to 3.0, and this is within the limits. As for the environmental review aspect of this project, the applicant is requesting a Class 32 exemption for infill development in urban areas. There are 5 criteria to meet for Class 32 exemption. First of which is that it must meet general plan designation and zoning ordinances. It is in compliance. The site must be less than 5 acres. It is 5,000 square feet, which meets the requirement. And based on the U.S. Fish and Wildlife database, it is not located in a critical habitat. It would not result in any significant effects related to traffic, noise, air quality, as it meets the parking, landscaping, and buffer requirements. It's also subject to the performance standards and its conditions of approval, which addresses noise, lighting, and such. And lastly, it is required to be served by utilities and public services. It is located in an area where it can be served by utilities and as well as any public services required. The applicant is proposing to make all rented units, so 6 units would be affordable. Under our inclusionary housing agreement ordinance, only developments that are 10 units or more are subject to that section. So there is no requirement to make the units affordable. They also have not requested any affordable housing density bonuses. So staff is recommending in condition approval number 12 is for us to further work with the applicant to outline an agreement. This will be done prior to the building permits being issued. And again, the design review board has reviewed the design of this building at its meeting on February 11, 2026. They've recommended approval of this design. Attached to your packets are also 2 comments from the Santa Fe and Iron Triangle neighborhood councils. No other additional comments have been received by staff. The comments from the Santa Fe and Iron Triangle neighborhood councils are in support of the project. As for the required findings for all conditional use permits, this project aligns with the general plan vision for this designation for business, light industrial, as well as for the Ohio Avenue corridor. It meets the land use and economic development policies to provide affordable infill development in an urban area. The conditions approval that's been added to this project will ensure that no nuisances will be caused. All the criteria requirements have been met in the zoning ordinance. And in meeting the parking requirements, it would also not cause an adverse impact on traffic in the area. Staff is recommending approval of this conditional use permit. This concludes the presentation, and I am available for any questions.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the staff? Please.
First, thank you for responding to all of my questions via email ahead of time. Just wanted to follow up on 2. One, the affordability. Thank you for providing context of that condition of approval number 12, but if you can walk us through how that process works, because people define affordability different. And then wanting to know if it's possible to have them align with the very low or low income AMI requirements that we have in RENA, the Regional Housing Needs Assessment. So that's question one. And then question two is oh, sorry about that. I don't know what that was. In relation to the community-facing features, I noticed that in one of the public comments, there was mention of streetscape activation elements like landscaping and potentially a little library. And the neighborhood council person was very excited and said yes, but the little library isn't mentioned in the application process. And so just want to acknowledge that it looks like the neighborhood council had that expectation in mind. And also, it's really cool that this is a live-work unit providing a transitional buffer between that light industrial space into the residential. And I know I had previously asked you about how many of the sites were active, because it can be a little creepy and scary when there's a lot of vacant spaces or, there's not enough lighting. And so it's important to have community-facing features that will activate the street. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you for your question. So to begin with the inclusionary housing and affordability, so they are exempt from that section. However, we've decided to add the condition of approval as a guideline for staff to work with the applicant to guide them towards meeting the standards in that section. From what I can recall, there are certain percentages of units that must be designated as either moderate income, low income, or very low income. The percentage of units will depend on the affordability level. If the applicant wishes to make them all affordable to moderate income, very low income, it is up to them. But we do want to guide them through these guidelines, and this would be done before the building permits would be issued. As for the guidelines, I can also provide further information. So this hearing wouldn't be the end. We wouldn't be letting the affordable units slip away. There would be further work from the staff side as well as the applicant side after tonight as well. As for the little library, so that was not one of the items on our minimum required submittal checklist on the plans for the landscaping plans. That would be required by the Planning Commission if they choose to motion to. I can also request the applicant to speak further on this as well. But as far as we know, staff can also work with the applicant further on the affordable housing agreement, as well as making sure that the library is added during the building permit process.
And then through the chair, can I do one follow-up? Sure. I just want to get clarification. Thank you for both of your responses for the process for affordable housing to help meet standards. Is there any chance that if we move forward and approve this, that there will be no affordable housing units because things will be changed? Because if we're approving this with the understanding that there will be affordable units when it isn't super clear.
It can be a requirement in the city. However, as far as I'm aware, the applicant is not requesting any affordable housing density bonus, nor are they subject to the inclusionary housing ordinance since they are less than 10 units. However, this initiative was put out by the applicant, and which staff will gladly support and ensure that that the section, although they're not subject to it, can be used as a great guidelines for us to come up with an agreement to create some sort of insurance that there would be affordability in this development. And In the conditions approval with this resolution, it does require that the applicant work with staff in meeting the inclusionary housing ordinance. So we would look through all of this section, and we would require that they complete a compliance agreement with us before we even issue the building permit to them.
Maybe it would be good at this point to hear from the applicant in terms of your understanding of the question here about the affordable housing and the little library over there, so that we are clear what you understand and if that's in sync with what we're hearing here today. So would you mind, and if anything else you want to tell us about your project, feel free.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Keith Chung. I'm the owner, architect, and design builder on this project. So I guess the first thing is the little library. So that's the student intent to have the little library built on site as a site, I guess, features or amenities. But the location is yet to be determined. And then in terms of affordable units. I think we provided a matrix to the planning department outlining, which type of units will be meeting which type of requirement. I think there's 2 units that's going to be 80% medium income, and then there's 2 for very low affordable units, but I couldn't recall the matrix right now. But it is our commitment to build affordable units. I know there's no incentives for us to do so, as Pete outlined, but it's our intention because I used to live in Richmond and I love the city, and we're fully committed to invest the city. And yeah, hope that answered the questions.
So I'm not entirely sure how the process works. Director Velasquez, ultimately, would there be some kind of written agreement between the developer and the city in terms of what actually gets provided as affordable housing? I mean, I think that's what condition 12 is driving towards, but I think we're both wondering how does that get executed?
Typically, as a requirement under the inclusionary housing ordinance or density bonus law or SB 35, there would be a regulatory agreement with a standard term. Typically it's 55 years. However, in this case, it's a voluntary proposal with no incentives coming from us. So the term could vary. And that's something, as well as the definition. There are definitions under the RENA that we would need to meet if it was, as well as a minimum term. So this is a bit of a unique circumstance that's not being prescribed by law. It's more like a voluntary request to enter into an agreement. So I think if it's not an obligation, so if the commission would like to see us to effectuate, if you wanted to express a minimum term that you would desire to at least try to be achieved, whether it's a minimum of 10 years, 15 years plus, and then we can work with the applicant to try to, organize. I mean, I think legally, James, I don't know if you have any concerns. I mean, voluntary engagement into this type of agreement is something we certainly want to encourage and try to work with the applicant, but legally it's not required.
Okay.
Right, we couldn't enforce an obligation as a condition of approval.
So
it would just be some guidelines that,
So there's really no, if we did, as the director suggested, that we'd ask for a minimum of 10 years as a condition of approval, it really can't be enforced?
That's correct.
Okay.
But if it's in a condition, I mean, I think our goal would be to try to get a regulatory for the term that you're seeking. So again, with some directions, it would help us to make sure we're aligned. And certainly the applicant is voluntarily agreeing to it, and we would want to work together to achieve that outcome. So if you have thoughts around a minimum term that you would like us to achieve, I don't know, Pete, if we have access to the matrix that the applicant has provided, that maybe we can review that, since he can't recall the exact commitment that he's at least submitted to staff. But we can work out the details, post-planning commission action.
Would you like to make a suggested condition related to this?
Yes, but I think with the understanding from what I'm hearing from our attorney that it's more of a, it's in good faith, also just big appreciations, because like Lena said, this doesn't happen very often, and we do have housing to meet. And so I'm wanting to see if folks, what do you all think about like a 10-year?
I think giving staff a recommendation from the commission on what extent duration we would like for them to push towards in this voluntary arrangement would help staff moving forward. So if you have a thought in mind, that would be, we could make that into a condition, make sure it will be able to be added to the resolution.
Yeah, I was proposing 10, but wanted to hear from other commissioners if they had other.
Anybody else have thoughts on the, trying to get at least some portion of these with some level of commitment to affordable housing?
So this is a guideline that we would be asking the city to work with the applicant on. The applicant seems like they have an idea about what kind of affordable units they want to provide. I don't want to provide, I guess if it's a guideline, it doesn't matter, but I don't have anything in mind in terms of term or rank of low, moderate income personally. But I think it's great that the applicant is interested in doing this of their own volition. So I want to encourage that as much as possible.
Yes, sure.
So I was able to pull up the matrix. So I have 2 units, the type A units designed for 80% AMI, 3 units, the type B units, they're designed for 50% AMI, and then 1 unit, the type C unit, is designed for extremely low, 30% AMI, and the manager unit is unrestricted. In terms of the 10-year timeframe, I mean, we're definitely open to working with the Richmond Housing Authority and finding the tenants for the building. So maybe there is a pathway to ensure that, you know, the building is truly intended, designed to be 100% affordable.
So that's very helpful. If we were going to try to add this as a condition, it would be more like that we are encouraging the applicant to work with staff towards achieving that goal of the number of units at the different income levels. And I couldn't quite hear what they were, but I hope somebody else did. So if
I heard, and I thought they were great goals.
There
I mean,
you
they're
go.
amazing. So I would want the staff to work with those as a starting point. I don't have enough experience to know about terms, and I don't know what a standard term is for affordable units. But it seems like that would be a good goal also, is to use a standard term. So if somebody else knew what a standard term for affordable housing is, it would be good.
Yes, so there are standard terms in the inclusionary housing ordinance that can be used as the guidelines. Looking at it briefly, it seems that the minimum ratio would be, let's see, for rental units, would be 9% for a very low income household, or 10% for low income household. As for the terms, I believe it is 50 years.
Thank you. I have other questions on other topics.
Okay, we can
So-
come back and try to,
yeah.
maybe you can try to compose a condition of approval. That'd be great. Go ahead, Bruce.
Just regarding the question about the little library, I was more interested in landscaping. There's two existing trees. I went by the site. There are significant trees existing, and I'm glad to see that the project is aiming to preserve those trees. But there's some beds that are being proposed that I don't see landscaping called out. There's an enlarged landscaping plan for the rear yard, but I don't see landscaping shown for the street landscape beds. And in particular, I don't see trees proposed for the street beds. So I guess that's a question, and if there aren't trees proposed there, then I would probably want to make a condition that there should be trees proposed for those landscape beds. That's one question. Another question I had was the distance from the property line, which is the face of the building, to curb, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 curb cuts along the street, their driveways to get into the garages. If that distance, it looks like it might be 20 feet, that's just big enough to park a car or a truck. And if someone parked in that driveway, then it would block the sidewalk. So I don't want a project that's going to encourage residents to park in the driveway and block the sidewalk. So that's kind of a question and a statement, and I'm not sure how we can address that moving forward. And then the last is regarding bike parking, and I think I did read that there was some bike parking provided, but if someone could summarize the parking for bicycles, that would be good.
Yes, thank you for your question. So the first is that there are trees provided in that curb on the sidewalk. It is located on the site plan. It's not on the landscaping plan, but if you look at the site plan showing the garages and the curb cuts, you can see the trees. There's 2 trees on Ohio Avenue and 2 trees on 3rd. There are also 3 trees in the landscape in the rear yard as well.
On the site plan. On the site plan? I see a landscape plan, I see a hardscape and utility plan. Oh, here's the site plan. Proposed. Sorry, I'm just trying to see where it says tree. And I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. I don't know if you could bring it up or if there's some way to indicate where trees are indicated.
Yes, I can bring it up. Give me one moment. So they are on sheet A 1.0, the first page of the plans.
A 1.0, I see 2 trees indicated, but those are existing trees.
Ah, I see. Yeah, I believe as required, only those 2 trees would be required. However, the planning commission can make the motion to
Okay.
require additional trees.
Okay, they're not shown on the drawing, but we could put a condition that there be trees in the landscape beds on both Ohio and on Third.
Yes.
Okay. Great, thank you. Those
As
are my questions.
for your other questions, you had a question regarding bicycle parking. There is one bicycle rack proposed. It is located in the rear yard. It's between two of the trees. It's located near there. There's one bicycle rack providing parking for two bicycles.
2 bikes.
Yes.
Is there a parking ordinance for bicycles for live work?
So for live work, in the bicycle parking ordinance, it is required for conditional use permits. When a use is changed, as for new development, it is a bit different. It's mainly aimed towards commercial uses in this section. I can pull up this section as well and review it.
Okay, you know, my concern is really that you're less than 1 block away from the greenway on this site. So there needs to be adequate bike parking. Now, these are live work spaces, they have garages, they have workspaces. Presumably residents will park their bikes in the garage, fine. But there needs to be enough bike parking for visitors, is my thinking. So I don't know if the ordinance says something about a minimum number of bikes for visitors, but that was my question there. Thank you.
All right. Staff can definitely work with the applicant on making sure the requirements are met.
Okay. I guess this public hearing's still open. We need to see if there's anybody, I don't think there's anybody here in this chamber, but is there anybody online that wishes to make comment on this project?
We do have a participant online. So if we have anybody online that would like to make a comment on this item, if you can please raise your hand. No hands raised.
No. All right. If there's no further comment, then I'm going to close the public hearing, and we, commission can sort of work on these proposed conditions and make sure that they're acceptable to the applicant before we make our motion. So do we want to start with the one for the affordable housing?
Sure. I thank you, staff, and thank you, applicant, for sharing all this information. I feel comfortable with the conditions of approval as stated in number 12 based on the standard terms that were discussed, even though they aren't required, but they'll be a part of the guidance. And so I'm comfortable with that.
No further modification to that?
No.
Okay, great. Then we had trees in the parkway. You want to just require that they're going to have to meet the requirements.
I would make a condition that there be at least 1 tree in each landscape bed, each separate landscape bed on Third and on Ohio.
Okay. Is that acceptable, seeking at least 1 tree on each of these, each planting area on each street?
I mean, we're open to that, but I mean, just looking at the site plan, because the building is almost like a 0 lot line design, so I don't think we have room to plant a tree on along the Ohio side within our property.
But there's a landscape bed in between the sidewalk. There's a landscape bed in between the sidewalk and the curb.
Oh, yeah.
So where there's a
outside the
landscape,
property line.
it's outside the property line, but we would still like
Understood.
to see the applicant, yourself, put a tree in and maintain a tree in that site.
Yeah, we're definitely open to that.
Thank you.
If I may, want to follow up with that parking in the driveway, potential
Sure,
parking.
please.
Because again, the existing sidewalk and the curb is kind of narrow, so it wouldn't be possible to park the car in the driveway because the car would be sticking out to the street. And then additionally, we'll be adding signs to say no parking on the driveway as well.
Okay, Would you mind if we added a condition that there be signs posted to
Yeah.
not block the sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we've got, so we have two additional conditions, and one related to trees in the, what I call the parkways between the sidewalk and the street, and one requiring signs indicating no parking in driveways. Was there-
No blocking of sidewalk.
No blocking of sidewalk. Is there were there any other conditions we needed to consider? I don't think so.
Does anybody else on the commission have a thought about bicycle parking?
I don't.
Through the chair, I agree, and trying to see, and I know it's tight, as you were saying, but if there's even an addition of like another bike rack.
Yeah, I bet there's not space.
Yes, so in review of the bicycle parking requirements, it is actually only one would be required for this development. It's 1+1 for every 20 units. So for this 7-unit development, only one is required. However, the staff can also work with the applicants to add additional bicycle parking.
So we won't make that a condition then, if that's okay with others. Yes, I'm happy.
Do you need specific language for these conditions, or do you have the,
I think we can develop the language based on the direction. I think with the street trees, from what I'm hearing, if we could just make those subject to review and approval by the city's
Of course, engineer.
Parks and Landscaping Superintendent, just to make sure that they can actually accommodate and aren't going to block a sidewalk. And assuming they say yes, we would plant.
So the condition would state at least one tree in each of these beds, subject to approval, subject to review by Parks and Landscaping. Okay.
Yeah.
okay. Are we ready for a motion? Why don't you make it, Bruce, and you're the one making the amendments, that way you can get them in there.
I thought Deanna was going to make her first motion here, but I will make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2605, adopting the findings and approving a conditional use permit to allow the proposed live-work development PLN 250168, subject to conditions. And the conditions include just these two, the trees in each bed and the sign blocking the sidewalk. And there is no condition for affordable.
Well, there's
It's-
existing.
There's an existing condition, so we are not adding another condition. So that is my motion.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution with added conditions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. We're all looking forward to your project.
Yes,
Thank you
nice
very much.
project, thank you.
Okay, I think we're getting close to the end. So that's all the items we have. Any communications from staff or commissioners?
Staff has some announcements. So just to share with the Planning Commission, next Tuesday, the City Council is going to discuss whether or not to direct staff to establish a moratorium on data centers. It's becoming a more prevalent use, not just in the Bay Area, but nationwide. And so they're going to have a discussion as to whether or not they put a moratorium, so that would provide some time for us to work with the community to come up with some requirements, should they be desired to be located within the city.
Is there an existing data center somewhere in the city?
No.
Okay.
No data centers, but we are starting to see them in Contra Costa. I know Oakley just on Tuesday considered a moratorium after approving one in their city, and so it is something that the council will be considering. And we'll report back to the commission on that. And then also just to share that earlier this week, staff was alerted that They're scammers that are using publicly available project information and are sending fraudulent emails using city staff names, requesting payment of project fees. And so we have put announcements out on our webpage as well as to our online permitting system. They are using non-city domain emails, but are using staff names and adding signatories. So we are trying to get the word out and are sharing that with the commission as well as the public to please be vigilant. If it looks suspicious, sounds suspicious, it probably is suspicious, so please beware. And certainly if you have any questions, please contact staff. And, you know, a lot of them are asking you to only pay via wire and by responding to email. So, and then just this weekend, there's a lot of great Earth Day events happening both at the Richmond Greenway as well as the Lucky's A Park up in North Richmond. So encourage our residents to go out and enjoy Earth Day and participate, as well as Park Prescription Day will be happening on the 25th at Nickel Park. So we hope you all can join us.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I had sent staff this question because at my very first commission meeting earlier this month, there was a question that was raised by Bruce acknowledging that because of a lot of the different legislations, that there's a lot of by right approvals happening now, so there's less stuff that we're seeing. And so I had asked if there was an opportunity for us to be periodically informed on development activity that's happening by right. And I did get a response back that that is being tracked, but that I don't think the commission has been getting updates. So just wanted to start up that discussion to get high-level summaries. That includes like number of units, AMI levels, number of commercial businesses by zone, light industrial, just so we have a sense as we continue to approve the projects that are coming down to us.
That would be great. Is that something you guys can take on?
Yeah, just in response, so we currently already provide a project list by neighborhood. And this includes projects that will come to the commission, to the DRB, or Historic Preservation Commission, as well as administrative reviews. So we can certainly add the commission's emails to that distribution list.
great.
It's provided monthly. And again, it's broken down by neighborhood council.
That would be perfect. Thank you so much.
So the commissioners would get the email from every neighborhood council correspondence?
No, it's one combined project list,
okay.
but for the neighborhood councils, they like to see the projects
see.
by their district or by their neighborhood. And so they're listed by neighborhood as opposed to by project number.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, anything else? Okay, then I will adjourn the meeting at 7:38. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.